Hello, one and all, and welcome to War with a Mate, the final War with a Mate of the year, with me, James.
Me, Andy.
This is it. The year has come to an end, Andy.
What a year it's been.
It's been a long one. 2025, one that will go down in the books of history as one of the years that happened. Historically, that is true.
It's been quite we'll look back on this one.
Yeah, there's been some highs, some lows, some worldwide controversies, some tragedies, some joys, some triumphs, and a lot of board game.
Too much board game for us. It sort of eclipsed a lot of that other stuff.
Yeah, all of the tragedies, they sort of pale in comparison to what we're doing. It's deeply tragic. But it's kind of beautiful as well.
Yeah, let's cling to that bit.
Well, I'm James.
I'm Andy.
And we've been playing the campaign for North Africa, as always. And it's been a fun one.
Yeah, we're on turn 3, op stage 2. We're doing your movement today.
We've done my movement, and what a movement it was. I had fun today, Andy.
It was quite the day, yeah. Should we get into what happened then?
Yeah, I guess we should probably tick it off, because we left last time with me hot on the heels of a nasty fight against your guys. My wall that I've been moving along the north coast, they were pushed back. They were sent with their tail between their legs back over to Map C.
Get out of here.
But I wasn't entirely broken in spirit. I still had a bit of fire in my heart, a bit of zest, and that played out today. And not with that wall, because no, that wall stayed where they are. They retreated and they have remained there.
Yeah, you left them to lick their wounds.
And I decided to pick my fights. And pick my fights I really did. Because I kept them there, but I did move some others around.
Yeah, you had quite a lot of moves here. Well, two divisions got tasked with hunting truck bandits.
Those truck bandits have become a problem for me, and I decided today I've had enough. So no more trying to box them in with a few gun units. I decided I'm going to send a division after each of your truck bandits. And they were sent running. They were sent with their tail between their legs, and definitely with a much more heightened sense of fear than I had when I left the wall.
Yep, they did. You barraged them both. They managed to avoid getting pinned and then just retreated before assault because they can't fight a division.
Yeah, I boxed them in real nice. They've been sent scuttling into a sort of choke point now that they're coming together for one last stand as my divisions are flanking them on either side. My 62nd Mamara and 64th Cantonero, I want to say. They've really closed in on them. 2 divisions are coming after 2 battalions.
Which is kind of worth it on my end.
I don't know, because I wasn't going to do anything else with them. Those guys were just sat around.
Oh, okay, then maybe not then.
They're holding the back line.
Doing stuff.
I've got them busy behind, I was going to say behind enemy lines. Behind friendly lines.
Behind your own line.
Yeah, they're doing stuff that really they shouldn't have to be doing. You shouldn't have got this far anyway. But I decided they're going to try and pick them off. So they're now having a bit of a cat and mouse game, chasing them around, following them. One of them we still need to resolve because they have chased them. We didn't resolve that combat.
Oh, I thought you'd stop chasing. Are they also?
The 62nd have chased a little further.
Oh, okay, so we'll sort that out start next time.
That is the last combat to resolve. But I thought, you're having all this fun with these truck bandits. Why don't I get in on this?
Yeah, that's a Saharan detachment. Are we jumping to them?
The Saharan detachment really had their last tango today. Not only the Saharan detachment, but most vitally, the most important part of this end-of-year conclusion is that the camels are done.
No camels in 2026. It's going to be a camel-free year for us.
Well, it'll be a camel-free scenario. They will rear their head once again.
If it's a camel-free year, we've really, really messed up.
We've really dragged our hooves. The camels are no more. They've been defeated. And it's not in the way that I thought or hoped it would happen, but we do finally have a conclusion.
Can we do a little zoom in on this unit and sort of talk about the experience of being a member of them?
So the Saharan detachment had quite the ordeal over this upstage.
They're overlooking the Qatar Depression in the middle of the desert. They've just been bombed.
By your aircraft.
Yeah, middle of nowhere.
And they were pinned. Well, of this group, there were 5 infantry within this detachment. 1 gun. One of the infantry being a recon. So they were sat there. 2 of the infantry had been pinned by your bombardment from the air. And I was looking at them today. And I thought, you know what, James? Today's the day.
You're going to be bold.
The Saharan detachment have been slowly creeping further east every single upstage for the last turn and a bit. And I thought this was my time. I've had enough of your bullshit. So what I did is I detached the 2 pinned infantry.
So the commander of this detachment has gone to those 2. Look, you're licking your wounds from the bombing. You're a little shell-shocked. We're going to leave you here. Don't worry.
Don't worry, you're here.
We're going to leave you with a single water truck.
You have your water truck. You have the trucks that you're in. You're still motorized. You have some water to get you by. You have fuel in your tanks. This is not the end. This is simply the beginning.
In fact, you guys come and support us next scout.
You guys recover from what's happened. You come meet us. And you can meet us not just anywhere. You're going to meet us at Alexandria. Because we are going to push north from the Qattaran Depression. We're going to move all the way up to the Northern Road. We're going to mow through 3 airfields, kill all of the SGSUs in there. We're going to continue driving far east. We're going to go all the way across the road from map D to map E. We're going to arrive at Alexandria, and we're going to break the line of that small garrison there, and we are going to claim Alexandria for ourselves.
Huge move. Take my supplies out from under me.
Cut out your air force completely, destroy your major bombing airfield, and then arrive at Alexandria's front door, blow it wide open with the Saharan detachment, which outnumbers your garrison there, and wreak havoc, allowing me to plant myself in there and hold it out for the rest of the scenario, winning me Graziani's offensive.
It's a flawless plan, but you did have to push the boys a little hard. They were running a little ragged when they got to Alexandria.
So the issue comes from the nature of the game's capability point allowance. You see, people can't do everything forever. Now,
That's an apt description of people.
Now, that applies not just to the board game, that applies to real life. Now, the concept of entropy is one that I've wrestled with for a while in this game, and today it really came to fruition, because my plan, I knew, had flaws. It was not flawless in the sense that it couldn't go wrong. It was a risky move.
I think it could be generously described as high risk, high reward.
It could be generously described as a suicide mission. In fact, better than generous, it could be accurately described as a suicide mission.
And those guys didn't want to do a suicide mission, so they get to Alexandria and we get into some combat. I fire off a barrage that sort of pins one group. And what are the rest of them up to?
Well, to paint the full picture, they drove up from the Qattaran Depression along some tracks, and then they met the Northern Road. Not the Balbo, that's the one further along, isn't it? Or is this the Balbo?
No, the Balbo is in Libya. It's not joined up to the Egyptian coast road.
That's probably why this went so badly. If I was on the Balbo, this would have been fine.
Yeah, you would have been driven forwards by the ghost of Balbo.
But instead, with the road being broken, the spirit of Balbo can't pass over.
Can't connect.
The spectral nature of him doesn't allow him to move over broken road.
That scary, weird ghost with a big fish.
But what I can do is drive along the road that is still intact. So what I did do is drive through 3 of your airfields and mow down every single SGSU in there. I killed upwards of 100 men.
Easily. You got rid of my Moraine fighters, which are... I only have 6 of them, but they're all right. They're like a weird holdover. I don't even know if I get that many more of them. You got rid of my Lysanders, which kind of suck, but they could strafe, which was all right. And my Bombay bombers, which are my highest bomb-to-plane ratio. They're the sort of hammer of my Air Force.
Yeah, they're your real...
We're the hammer of my Air Force.
Well, the good news for you is the planes are still there.
Yes, in a turn, some SGSUs will show up at Alexandria and whiz along the road and just find, like... Have you seen those weird, like, graveyards of military equipment and, like, they'll, like, show up there and be like, better get these planes working.
Yeah, you know what? I have a very vivid picture painted just from what you've described there. And I don't know if I think it's something I've seen from a film, but it's those sort of airfields where there's the concrete bunkers that are nestled on the side of airfields.
Yeah.
And then you've just got a bunch of aircraft just sat there dormant.
Which, from what I know of being a pilot at this time, you would love to have a concrete bunker and not be living in a shack made of boxes.
And those shacks of boxes did nothing to defend your SGSUs, because when the Saharan detachments came in trucks, and those trucks were also for some reason full of camels, they showed up. They had the camels jump out the back of the trucks, mowed down these SGSUs, getting some vengeful retribution for what happened at Fort Madalena oh so long ago. And from there, they continued the push through several more empty airfields, just sat there, ready for the taking, making them Allied airfields. I went through a total of 6 airfields on my journey to Alexandria, and the men were happy. The men suffered breakdown points that were building up all the way up to that road, but when they're on that road, it's plain sailing.
They sort of hit the road with some bad morale from pushing themselves through the desert, which is going to be important.
And that's where the entropy comes in. You see, getting them up to that road took them just over their CPA allowance, which is, it's not ideal. However, I thought, why not? Now, continuing to push them that far east was risky, to a fault, because pushing them that far to get them to the doors of Alexandria meant that they dropped 13 cohesion points.
To minus 14.
To minus 13 for most of them.
Minus 13.
For one of them, it was minus 16.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Now, that created a bit of a pickle for me, because that means when they arrived at the gates of Alexandria, they were able to continue to expand their CPA to go even further. However, when you run into combat...
I've also just realised, sorry, they were on minus 13, and the way things worked out would have been no difference. But they should have moved to be minus 18, because they were involved in combat.
Yes, actually, come to think of it, they did engage in combat.
So they were even less... They had even worse morale.
Which it makes sense, because they've went all this way, and they've shown up at the gates, and the barrage goes off from your men. I've decided not to barrage. It wasn't really worthwhile. And you barraged me, and upon being barraged... My men decided, or rather the morale adjustment table decided, this isn't worth it. Let's not do this. Let's surrender en masse, instantly, and let the fight be over. So that's what the Saharan detachment did. They made it all the way to Alexandria
to surrender.
After taking out 3 airfields worth of SGSUs, capturing another 3 airfields along the way. 6 Allied airfields I now have along that road. But that, unfortunately, is where they decided that's enough. So they surrendered, which means that the group that dropped the 2 infantry behind in the Qataran Depression have now surrendered at the gates of Alexandria, handing over their gun, their trucks, and most importantly, and esoterically, the camels.
The camels, they're not war camels anymore, they're just city camels.
They're prisoner of war camels. So, the camel saga ends not with a bang, but with a confusing whimper. Because the camels have now been taken into Alexandria, and I fear we will no longer find out what happens to them. They've been abstracted from the game.
Out of the game, yeah.
They aren't living camels. They aren't dead camels. They're captured camels.
Well, they've just sunk into the population of camels. They're not distinguished anymore.
Well, what they are, technically, I guess, are prisoner points.
Yes, which just immediately go from Alexandria, so I get some free victory points.
And the good thing is, because they are prisoners, and you are in Alexandria, that's where you've got them, Alexandria has unlimited resources, which means the camels, unless I take Alexandria, will never die.
No, they're being shipped to European prisoner of war camps.
You can't...
Because when I get my prisoners to Alexandria, they get shipped out of the map and become points.
Oh, fuck, what?
That's what, at the end...
I thought it was Cairo.
It might... Oh, it might be Cairo. They might have to do a little train journey.
No, do not put the camels on the train. Don't send them to Cairo. Don't send them overseas. Don't export the camels, please.
Just a bunch of Italian and German guys next to some camels in a prisoner of war camp in France.
Well, the camels, the Saharan detachment, their journey has ended.
Yeah. What I found especially funny about this was picturing the conversation between the commander of the detachment to the two battalions of infantry that are getting left behind. Like, just steady on, boys. You'll come and get us. And then they're like, I will immediately are like, I will surrender to Waverley himself and no one else.
They're driving along the road. They take out these SGSUs. Their conscience sits heavy on them. And for a moment, they think they can push through it. They think they can move past this moral obstacle that's been in their way along this road. And then they arrive at the gates of Alexandria. All it takes is a barrage to pin one of their groups. And for some reason, it brings about a moral reckoning that they just simply can't get past. So instead, they drop their weapons, they surrender their camels, and they decide it's time to be sent back to Europe. And that is where our adventure will end. They wanted to get back. And with it, what's interesting is the Saharan detachment. I'm not sure who made up the Saharan detachment, but it is interesting that now the Saharan detachment is going to Europe.
I'll do some research into it, but it would be interesting if that was a locally sourced division using like Libyans who are used to the desert.
And now
to
they've
make
been
that force, and now they're just in Europe.
The crazy thing is that unit had incredible defensive ratings for combat.
Oh, right.
They had 7 for their defensive rating.
What?
Yeah.
How many toe?
Like 5.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So you could have just plonked them somewhere and they would never have...
Yeah, they would have been completely fine in a defensive position. But I flew too close to the sun. I flew too close to Alexandria.
Yeah.
And now the camels are waterbound. And they're off to France.
Let's hope they don't get sunk.
I would make sure that our aircraft do not go after these transport planes or these transport ships. That's not going to happen.
Just Hitler and Mussolini communicating. Let this convoy through. It's got the camels on it.
The camels are the secret weapon because no one understands what they are, what they can do.
Maybe it'll do more damage in Europe.
Possibly. I would like to maybe proposition that the Campaign for North Africa has an expansion pack, which is the Europe Camel Adventure.
Which is a game of life, but for camels.
Pass go, collect $200.
It's a more desert-themed version of the film War Horse.
Ooh, War Camel, I'd watch that. Sea Biscuit. They're going to be over the sea.
Yeah.
But
you do also, you had the black shirts rumbling. They're going to get to Tobruk next turn, which is going to have an impact. Just, they're sort of, in my head, they've been approaching.
Yes.
Once they hit Tobruk, they're like something, they're like another variable to consider.
They're real.
They're going to go
point.
from an impending thing to like, oh no, I actually have to think about these guys as well.
Well, they're going to play a vital role because after my Saharan detachment surrendered, I did highlight some of the things that are still on the map. I was posturing, peacocking, and sort of showing what it is that I have still up my sleeve. And what I have up my sleeve is twofold. First, I have the 2 battalions that dropped off from the Saharan detachment. They're still in the Depression. And that is both figurative and geographical.
It's rare that lines up so perfectly. It's a step beyond. It's a dramatic irony where the weather matches the mood.
Pathetic fallacy.
Yeah.
So the thing is, those guys are there. They have a single water truck and they have fuel in their tanks. But what they can do is make a push. And yes, the trucks may break down. Yes, they may have to go on foot for the rest of the journey afterwards. But they are still much further east than any of my men have ever got. Apart from, of course, the former detachment. So
Yeah, but you don't know at what point along the North Road they became traitors and deserters.
I think it was as soon as that first barrage went off.
Oh, so they were loyal up to the reaching the city.
They were loyal up until the first bit of pushback they received. The moment they came under fire for the very first time, they surrendered instantly. Which I think makes them some of the worst traitors imaginable.
What they've essentially done is marched across 3 tiles. So probably 1,500 kilometers of desert to surrender.
Yeah. And the thing is, they went from Siwa to Alexandria. They went to the wind conditions
Yeah.
and they surrendered.
They also mirrored the journey of Alexander the Great, but significantly less. It wasn't visiting a prophet to sort of change history, it was surrendering, but they were travelling that route.
Yeah, it's just Alexander the morally grey. But that means they can still push. These 2 battalions, they can still drive further out. Maybe they'll go back to the airfields. Maybe they'll try and take some of your trucks. Maybe they'll have a bite at the cherry. Maybe they'll go for Alexandria. Maybe they won't surrender. Maybe they were the best of us all along.
Them being there, though, is an issue for me, because that road's in striking distance, so I do need to be careful with... I can't just have convoys go, like, as far as possible and just end up on that road anymore.
Well, no, if they're
They
on
have
that
to move
road...
from, like, stronghold to stronghold.
Because if I push them, yes, they'll be taking huge cohesion hits.
But you don't need cohesion to do trucks.
Yeah, I can wander into the trucks and then mine.
Yeah.
So I can do that. I can take your trucks. And as well as that, I also have, as you mentioned, the other black shirt divisions. 2 more black shirt divisions that have arrived. Now, these black shirt divisions are currently moving across map B. They're up along the north of map B. And next turn, they can reach map C. They can reach Tobruk. So what I outlined to you is something that I found quite interesting about my planes, my SM-81s specifically, is that they can carry out transport missions. I have SM-81s somewhere in map B.
Yeah, and they're good at it, because mine, you said they like can do 2.5 tow points, was it?
That's what it shows on the transport mission bit, yeah.
Mine cap out of 1, I think.
So I've got 2.5 for that.
Big old planes.
Which means that what I can do is break off some of my infantry from the black shirts, have them go to this particular airfield, and then fly them over to what is now an allied airfield for me, right next to Alexandria. It does mean, because of the distance, I can't actually fly them there and have them fly back. They're just shy by 10 or so hexes. So it means if I fly them there, it's a one-way trip for these planes.
Well, I guess it would be anyway, because they don't have SGSUs at the other end for...
Well, if it's a transport mission, they can drop them off there and then they loop back round.
Yeah, it's the same thing, so they don't need an SGSU.
So they can fly there, they can drop them off, and then they can fly back. But if I don't have SGSUs there and I need to do the full extension, they arrive at an allied airfield, which those ones that I've marched over technically are, but then they have to stay there because I have no friendly SGSUs there. So the issue...
And if you get SGSUs there, you've won. So that's sort of...
Exactly.
You've got rid of them for the rest of the scenario.
But the problem is these SM-81s are very good bombers.
Oh, okay.
So I will be losing very good bombers for the sake of transporting these guys.
But it is matching what's sort of been occurring in the game so far, I've noticed, which is we've had one battle on the front, which was this op stage, the fight with the wall.
Yes.
Everything else has been people just darting behind enemy lines.
Yes. And when it comes to that wall...
is not 2 walls next to each other at all.
And that wall only had one clash, and then I pulled everyone else back.
Yeah.
I made sure that didn't become a protracted fight that I couldn't really sustain. So instead, I thought, maybe I can distract you. If I go for Alexandria, you have to go back, and you have to do something about that. And that's where the black shirts come in. Because if I fly a transport mission there, I can get about 12 tow points of men there.
Which is nasty.
And those 12 tow points, some of them have a higher attack rating than just 1. Some of them are... if you're looking 3, 4, 5. So
they're your elites, aren't they? The black shirts.
Some of them,
sort of on paper.
Yeah, in terms of their capability, some of them are very reasonably considered the elite.
Yeah.
So if I get them there, if I fly them over to the gates of Alexandria, that becomes a very realistically winnable fight because they will not be suffering from the
cohesion issue,
massive cohesion hits of traveling long distance.
There is an issue they will have, though, I'll point out, which is they have to win decisively their first fight because they won't be able to take ammo with them.
That's right.
They have to.
They have the ammo that they came with, and that's it. What you can also fly with transport missions are motorbikes, recon units. Ooh. However, I had a look through. There's no sign of those. No sign of motorbikes within these groups.
Yeah.
So it would mean that when they arrive, it is very much do or die. So I will be breaking off parts of this black shirt division, some of their elite troops as well.
Oh, you are going to go for it, do you think?
I reckon I am, because if I get them there to Alexandria, and I take Alexandria with these guys, all I need to do is keep a bit of muster going on there, and it will cause trouble for you for the rest of the scenario.
The rest of my supply, that's where my supplies arrive and originate from. So if you control that, it's what's in Mercimer True, what's in a handful of airfields, and then what's in the unit's first line trucks.
Yes, I cut your supplies off from the wall. It means that my wall can then either push and just follow your guys behind if they march back to Alexandria to help out, or if they stay there, then I can then go for the long protracted fight because I'm closer to my supplies than you ever will be.
Yeah.
Which means at that point you either have to try and push through the wall, which means you're going up against a 2-to-1 division fight, or you retreat, you give up ground, and then that's also a win. And if that means using up a black shirt division's elite troops, which I didn't have up until this point in the game, then that's a risk I'm willing to take.
Also, it's sort of what you want your elite troops to be doing, is you're using them as like commando special forces rather than just better infantry.
Exactly. I'm bringing them in behind enemy lines, putting them right at the doorstep of Alexandria. And if I can take that, if I can hold it for even a couple of op stages, which this isn't even factoring in the transport time for you to get there, this is just the actual fight itself. If I manage to hold out long enough there with unlimited resources that Alexandria brings, then that's going to cause havoc for you.
I've got some stuff to move up to Alexandria from Cairo.
Mm-hmm. I've seen there's a division there, maybe two.
Two. One will stay in Cairo. The other, I haven't done it with the tiles yet, but if you remember in the organisation phase, I split it.
Yes, yeah.
Into train-sized bites.
Well, that's another thing. Your train is currently cut off because your train only goes as far west.
Not at the minute because they're not there.
It's the last point that I touched. I don't exactly know how you rebalance that.
I'll have to have a look at... Well, yeah, because it would make sense if they're there, they're stopping the train. Because then what would I have to touch?
I guess...
Turn the train back on?
Yeah, that's a good point, because you've got men further...
Because I've got men on the train tracks.
Oh, you've got men on the tracks.
So
in that case, no, I'm not cutting it off any further.
Yeah.
But you pointed out a flaw in my plan. Not necessarily a flaw, just a hiccup, which is that in your truck convoy phase, you can have your trucks roll back through these airfields and reclaim them as yours.
Yeah, they'll just do that because they're on the road.
One thing I do need to check is whether or not any unit can reclaim an airfield, or if it has to be a combat unit. But even if it is that the trucks can, I just need to push these Saharan battalions that have been left behind back into these airfields.
And have them just stay there.
Just have them sit in one of the airfields, ready for the black shirts to arrive as reinforcements, and then from there, it's a fight.
Because you could take, rather than threatening Alexandria, I don't know why I'm giving you ideas, you could take one of the airfields that's close to Mercimer True, that would be in you going back and forth transport missions, and essentially over the course of a couple of op stages, force me to go and get them, or you just keep flying the infantry in. And like you'd leave the tanks and guns behind, but you could have 2 or 3 op stages of transport.
And I did consider that, but the benefit of Alexandria is, one, cutting off your supplies at the source.
It's such a big target to take, yeah.
And it's also so far away from the wall that if you're splitting your wall, it's a massive journey. If you're marching them all back, it's a borderline victory, and I take map D almost in its entirety.
I wouldn't march them back. I will say I've not checked them for a while to see how good they are. But the guys in the division in Cairo is the 6th Australians, who I don't know if you remember from the Operation Compass, were the other division.
Oh, the reason that I'm not too concerned about that is because if you do that, then I just go to Cairo next.
That's got a division in it. I would have a division in each.
Oh, well, your division showing up to Alexandria, the issue they would have is I'm pretty sure Alexandria is fortified, isn't it?
Yep.
Which means if I manage to get in there and hold it, that's going to at least help me hold off a little while.
It's certainly, I'm in a precarious position where these deep plungers could really...
Oh yeah, and at that point, if all you've got is one division in both Cairo and Alexandria, I think there's ways that I can manipulate that situation towards a victory.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Because Cairo's so off in the middle of nowhere compared to the rest of the map.
They're an upstage away from each other.
Yeah, I think it's just if I break past that line, it's so difficult to get to Cairo other than through Alexandria. So if I manage to get into that little wedge between the two and have a force holding there, all I need to do really is then just start bolstering that wedge.
Yeah.
And there's other airfields that you've got between there.
Yes.
So if I manage to get one or two of those, then those transport missions become a whole different kettle of fish.
Looks like the fighting's going to abruptly move to map E.
Well, that's what I'm hoping.
That is good for you, yeah.
The Saharan detachment have opened up the door for something scary.
You also, in this scenario, have, because you went past El Alamein, I think you got closer to Alexandria than Rommel or the Italians ever did.
Just in a very unconventional way. So all in all, today was a massive victory in my head, even though my guy showed up and surrendered. What I've done with those airfields,
concept.
Yes,
yeah.
And it also, because my plan was going to be just hold Alexandria with the Saharan detachment for a while and keep you split and attention drawn. But now, after the whole surrender situation, I've looked at the air missions and how I can use that instead.
Yeah, what would be bad is if you send them and they get intercepted by fighters and then you lose like 10 tow points of infantry without them.
That would be bad. However, with me taking out 2 of your airfields...
You didn't take out any fighters, I will say that.
Well, either way, I've taken out some of your airfields, and your other airfield is just behind Alexandria. If I find a way to get over there, then that's going to be bad for you. And
they're not down because we had a limited... You could have less than you need, and it was... Alexandria is an airfield in and of itself.
Yes.
We just haven't put the tiles down because you don't get enough in the box and it feels redundant.
Yes.
So they are also airfields, just so you're aware.
But what I can do is I can stop moving my planes and SGSUs, because I've got SGSUs that have been backed up from when you took out some of my other ones at Fort Madalena.
Yeah. Do they come in through Tripolitania?
I need to check where they come from, because with those SGSUs, if I get them to Fort Madalena and I move my bombers to Fort Madalena, I can bomb Cairo and Alexandria with ease. So if I start taking out your airfields there, then there's no fighter opposition I need to worry about.
Yeah, that is a worry.
So I'm pretty confident that this gambit might have actually paid dividends.
Worried to see how it'll play out.
This is not how I thought things would look after last play session. Because when you pushed the wall back, I was worried that I'd just overextended, that because of my dwindling supplies, I was completely fucked. But now I've realised I don't have to play war conventionally, and I wouldn't have thought this if you hadn't done this truck bandit bullshit.
I mean, yeah.
You opened my eyes, Andy.
That's fine. I think currently it's still earned me more than it's lost me.
It might cost you everything.
It might, but currently I've taken out
like 5 or 6 airfields worth of SGSUs.
Yeah, which is pretty nice.
And 5 or 6 convoys of trucks.
Yeah.
Thankfully, those convoys are
smaller.
Crap.
I haven't grabbed a sort of motherload convoy.
I didn't have a motherload convoy, which is why if I had done my convoys properly, then you probably would have.
If you'd done your convoys properly, you might have lost by now.
I think... I guess it's one of those like domino effect things where if I did the convoys properly, then I would have been able to make a much more conceited march towards the east.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't need to worry too much about this situation.
It is making me nervous for the proper game because we're going to have learned...
Oh, it's made me so confident for the full game.
Oh, really?
In terms of... Well, that's the thing. It's made me confident that the first 6 turns of the full game, I really feel like I'm going to end up in Alexandria.
Oh, wow, okay.
I think...
Because if you do that, you've won.
I think I need to hold it for a certain amount of time.
And you need to have the supply lines. But if you take Alexandria in 6 turns in the main game, it's not going to last 10. It's going to be very quick.
I'm confident I will take Alexandria, or at least Mercer Matru, in 3 turns in the full game.
Oh, shit. That's scary.
Because I was looking at something today when we were playing,
Yeah.
and I genuinely think there's a real shock and awe plan that I can drop on you that is too overwhelming for you to be able to maneuver around.
Yeah. Because I do have that concern as well, because what fucked the Italians up was it was an equipment issue, but it was primarily their commanders being pussies. And what helped the Allies initially was their commanders being great despite them being under strength. Mm-hmm. Which what that means is, I think I've said this before, it's down to commander versus commander, and I don't have that gap on you.
Yes.
Because you're in, like, what fucked the Italians up was the things you're in control of. What allowed the Allies to be successful was the things I'm in control of.
Yes.
So between those two, I'm in quite a risky position.
And the unique place we're in is we've talked a lot about have other people played this game. If someone has, maybe someone's finished this game before.
I'm sort of getting to a point where I think it probably has, because it's had enough time, and as we're breaking it down and getting into it, it is playable enough.
Oh, definitely playable enough.
I think I wouldn't be shocked if there were like gaming groups from the sort of 80s, 90s, especially before the internet.
Yes.
Who probably did do a run through.
However, what is fairly unique, I think, is even if people have played this game before, how many people have done the first 6 turns twice?
Yeah, that'll be...
Because I think going into this, it's such a unique position to have played the first 6 turns and then redo the first 6 turns with the rest of the game in the front of mind on the horizon. So I think when we go into this full game on the back of what we've done in the scenario, all of these weird tactics we've tried out, all these odd maneuvers, I think when we start applying those to the full game, it's going to lead to a really wacky and pretty intense first 6 turns. And then I think after that, when the dust settles, we're going to be playing a very different game than people would if they just played the campaign for North Africa, turn 1 to 111.
Yes, I would agree. It'll also be interesting if we do get a really quick win. I know I've joked about it in reference to like the 111 turns, but like if you do get a decisive win in the first like 10 turns, say,
yes,
to the point where like we talked about, like if someone wins, we won't do the whole. We'll keep going.
Yes,
but if you've captured Alexandria in 10 turns, there's no point.
Yeah,
it would at that point, I think, be interesting to flip it and have me play the Axis, you play the Allies, and see if, is this game fundamentally broken from a fairly early point?
Yeah, if that were to happen, and I think you're mentioning that now, and the way that I'm thinking, my confidence there is I don't think misplaced. So if I were to win in less than 10 turns, I say we don't do the full 111 to see what kind of entropic state the game gets to. I think, yes, at that point we go back to the drawing board and we start again.
And then play it. And then I guess if I would then lose it from there, I'm just too bad at the game to play versus you, as it were. But if I'm then as the Axis storm in again in 10 turns,
then maybe
it's like the initial starting scenario might be fucked, and then maybe we do the thing where we pick up the Desert Fox scenario or the El Alamein and play from, is it a more balanced starting place for what it gives you at turn 30, for instance?
Yeah, that's
we keep playing, I think, and like explore.
Yeah. That's a scary thought though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like now that I'm thinking about it, that is a realistic possibility, because just the way this is panned out there, like I'm just thinking about what I've got planned for the next few op stages in terms of how I can infiltrate those areas.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a bunch of divisions there to garrison Alexandria and Cairo and Mersa Matruh,
Yeah.
then there is definitely a world where I can just get guys in, bomb the Saharan division along that road, get to an airfield, drop people in the airfield, control Alexandria or Cairo, and then win the game in realistically like 2-3 turns.
Which feels nuts, but it would be... I guess at that point we might play another scenario. We might go, oh, the air transport rules are busted because I think maybe a risk is Richard Berg seems to have been obsessed with recreating what was. And it might be a thing of like, oh, with all these things that are incredibly accurately researched, and then as we play it out, what we realise is the Italians, if they had better leadership, could have stormed the Suez and changed the fate of the world. It's just cause. And I would enjoy this conclusion, because Graziani is a craven loser. That Italy, we're not speaking Italian right now.
Yeah, because it's sort of like the, Sully.
Yes.
It's have you seen the film?
When are you thinking about the bits with the birds where it's like they immediately turn?
Yes.
And then it's like no human would do that.
Yeah, if you run the simulation,
if you're playing it back again in the simulation, you have more context.
Yes. So in that, whoever may not have seen it. So that was the...
it was the guy who landed on the Hudson after his birds hit his engines.
Yeah, there was a bird strike in the engines, and the plane was... Like, the engines, I think, shut off completely. So the pilots decided, after a few moments of thinking, that they were going to have to land in the Hudson because of how far they'd be able to get before the altitude dropped too much.
Yeah.
And afterwards, there was a whole... sort of like a hearing, like a tribunal about, well, no, you could have got to an airport. And the simulation...
Put, like, hundreds of pilots through simulations, so like...
Yeah, and the simulation was always, the second the bird strike hits, start banking off towards an airport.
Because I'm not sure, I think it's like a scenario... I've not played Microsoft Flight Simulator, but I think it's like a scenario...
It must be.
Like...
They must have that included
one
somewhere.
of the things, like, try this out, and it's...
Because
it's doable if you make a split-second impossible decision to be like, right, all my engines are out, I need to immediately bank. Like,
yeah, it's the equivalent of save scumming in a game.
Yes,
it's like
that's a good description.
You know exactly what's going to happen. You know exactly how to get around the scenario. You're save scumming so you can get through this encounter that you realistically can't the first time round. If you go into this blind, you're going to go the way that the Italians did. But if you redo the scenario, knowing all of the rules of the game fairly in depth, and the rules of the game are complicated, but if you just manipulate the rules with certain aspects of it being pushed to the forefront, and you have a perfect string, kind of like a speedrunner or someone who exploits all these glitches.
It's why I stopped playing a lot of games on harder difficulties, because I felt like, at least for me personally, I started playing the AI and the systems rather than just playing the game, if that makes sense. Like, especially with a lot of grand strategy games and like Civilization or Total War, for instance, at a certain point on the like higher difficulties, you win by knowing how the AI and the game reacts.
Yes.
Not being a better commander.
Yeah.
I think it possibly might have a situation where like that, where it's like, oh, if you know how these things interact.
Yeah, and I think that's what I've started to realize about this game, is that the fact that the rules are so vast, there's so many pockets of the rules you can delve into and exploit things that the other person won't be thinking of. And that would be harder to do if you had the teams of 5 on either side. But neither of us is always going to have every facet of the rules at the forefront of our minds.
Yeah.
Reserve rules, all of the
like
ways you can use aircraft.
Got to yet, like production rules. Well, it's
construction, minefields, using fortifications, building fortifications.
Because we've not done any minefields yet.
No, I nearly did, but it was too costly.
But you know, there's a region in Libya called the Devil's Garden.
No,
because during World War II, between the Germans and the Allies, they laid something like 16 million mines along the Egyptian and Libyan border, and it's like an ongoing humanitarian crisis because they're there. It's like an ongoing like humanitarian crisis you never hear about, where it's like that entire region is just fucking full of mines.
That's scary.
But like 16 million mines in what is a 3-year conflict.
Like, how many are they putting down, like, a day?
Like, they have, like, tanks with flails on the front of chains to trigger mines. Like, they have specific tank variants to go through minefields and stuff. It's, like, a big part of what's actually going on in the war itself that we just haven't touched.
Yeah, it's made me realize that today, being able to turn the game on a dime like that, being able to go from, you've pushed my wall back, and now all of a sudden, I'm at Alexandria, and if that rule for the morale adjustment had went differently, I could have pushed your men out of Alexandria.
Could have. If you'd rolled low, you would have had a morale adjustment, but you had the bigger force, that cancels out, and then it's force versus force, and because you have the bigger force, you'll likely have the better
outcome.
So you could have taken Alexandria today. This could have been a very different and much saltier podcast from my end.
Yeah, because
if it had gone that way.
Because if I held that, and then I did, because at that point I'd like to give myself the credit that even without the panic of them surrendering, I might have figured out the air plan, and then dropped in reinforcements, and then I could have continued to do that. And at that point, if I've got another 12 tow, and I'm there in a reinforced area, and the Saharans have incredible defensive ratings, it means that when I'm in there, it becomes a very unshakable force unless a division rocks up. And even then, you're not going to get rid of them necessarily in one go.
There's also, I don't know how the supply line stuff works, but because that is a supply point, that might be a 0 hex supply route.
I have to trace it back to somewhere. I have to trace it back to Tobruk. Yeah. So I wouldn't have won.
Because I was also going to say, if you're doing supplying by air, like, no one in their right mind would call the, like, Cold War Berlin airlift not a supply line.
Yes.
It just didn't use trucks.
All I would need to do at that point is have something run through the middle of the desert. That Fort Madalena supply dump.
Yeah.
If I use that and then string that along with the Saharan battalions that are still there,
yeah,
they can build a supply dump because it's borderline free.
And that road up to Mersa Matruh is less than 30 CPA on the road, so you can do a lot.
And then when my black shirts show up with that huge array of trucks, I just split them up into convoys, partition them along that road, and then within a turn, I win the game.
I might need to break the map out for the next session and have a real think. Oh, we're not going to...
Because that could be the end of the game.
Yeah.
All I would need to do realistically is have a few convoys on reserve in the mid-desert section of the map. And then when I take one of the cities, I then just splinter them out. And then all of a sudden, if they're within reaching distance of 30 CPA of each other, I win. All in all, a scary situation that the game could be won or lost in the first few turns.
It is very concerning. I'm now... I've had a Google Doc with, like, notes from the scenario of, like, this was a mistake. You should have put these guys here. This has been a weak point.
Yeah.
Now that maybe needs a reevaluation.
I'm going to, in the hiatus between the scenario and the full game, I'm going to come up with a very clear strategy.
Oh, you're going to have...
I'm going to have an actual battle plan.
Something the Italians didn't have other than go fucking get involved.
Which is kind of what I've been doing so far, and it's been go get involved tentatively.
Yeah.
This is, I think today has been, for me, the most important play session that we've ever had.
It seems like it's been a real strategic eye-opener for you.
It really has been.
Like, sort of laid a lot of the game bare.
It has, because I've now realised if I took that risky move, but then it opened up like 2 or 3 other risky moves I can make, and that branches out to all sorts of other plans and tactics that can involve all sorts of other facets of the game. If my air force was at full capacity now, it would be a completely different situation. If I had all of my divisions fully supplied, if I had all of my, well, not all of, but some of my divisions fully motorized, all of this could be devastating for you if I'd planned a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
And I can do that in the full game.
Yeah. I've got some tricks I haven't tried in this scenario, but they're tricks, not strategies. I need a strategy.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. I've been trying tricks, but when it comes to the full game, those tricks will become a plan.
They're like tactics within this overall strategy, not just like, does this work or does it not? Like,
there's some scary stuff coming, Andy.
Yeah.
Well, we've chatted at length today about this game.
Well, I guess they had a bit of a shorter one for Christmas, and I guess a sort of check-in on how we're feeling about the game. We've been excitedly talking about it because we've had like a 2-week break.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, I was questioning the reality of what we're doing here. I was wondering whether or not this is ever going to end. And today, we've spun it back round again. The pendulum has swung the other direction, where we're looking at the full game possibly ending before the scenario would end.
I need to think of some stuff, but yes.
It's not necessarily super likely that could happen, but the very fact it could happen has changed my mindset on it.
Well, it's also going to have changed mine in that I need to be much more defensive, which is the opposite of what it felt like I should be doing, which was using the like limited stuff I have to be aggressive. So it's going to be a very different set of opening turns for me, for sure, regardless.
If I go hard enough, we were told this by the Echoes of War guys we had on episode 3. If the Italians were to push hard from go when they have the numbers and they have the air superiority, then it's a nigh on perfect win.
It's also something that's unfortunately backed up by the history stuff.
Yeah, everything you've said. You've just been coaching me to destroy you. And it's finally paying off.
Right. Fans, the rest of the history segments you're going to hear until the game starts are just lies to put him in a headspace I can use.
Right, Andy, 1, I can hear you now.
What?
2, I edit the episodes. I'll hear that.
Fuck.
I'm going to cut that out as well.
Oh.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to use some sort of AI voice changer. And I'm going to... I'm just going to make you look really bad from now on. It's a different strategy. In the game, I've got a strategy. And out of game, I'm going to make you look like a really bad guy.
Yeah, because I don't listen to the pod because I can't, because something about my own me talking is just unsettles me. So you could be sending me any file to upload.
They're just blank files. There's no one listening to this.
That's concerning, because it means you're writing a lot of emails with interesting stuff you've never said you knew.
I just stick it in ChatGPT.
Oh, fuck.
It pulls it from the internet.
It pulls it from the internet.
Yeah, it's all bullshit. There's no listener. We said this from the start. You really think people are listening to this?
I guess speaking of no listeners, shall we read some of the emails you've come up with yourself?
Yeah, I'm quite proud of some of these ones. I've sent us over some good ones.
So this first one, I think you sent under the pseudonym Largo.
Yeah, that's the one I sent over here, and it's a good one. It's a good one. I'm proud of it. So. It also, just the subject of it does not really help my case here because the subject is another War with a Mate fan.
You've really got lazy.
It's the ChatGPT model I have. I didn't pay for premium this month. So it opens. Hi guys. I've been listening to your podcast for about a month and a half, and I'm pleased to say I've finally caught up at episode 54. That is commitment, by the way, because that's an episode a day.
That's well, hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, bloody well hope so. It's a weird feeling now, having to wait for new episodes each week, but I look forward to seeing what happens next. Admittedly, I came close to giving up on your podcast after listening to about a dozen episodes. I did enjoy your banter, enough to stick around for that long, but I was interested in hearing about the game too, and was getting disheartened, as you freely admitted. The early days' distinct lack of discussion on the very thing that your podcast was ostensibly about. Well, I've got good news today, Largo. We've talked about the game at length. If anything, this is a perfect email for today.
And I would say I'd love people to recommend the podcast to their friends, but it is a thing of, do I tell them to start at 15?
Yeah.
Or will they get through the nonsense? Will they enjoy the nonsense?
Is it like watching the US Office, where it's like, well, skip the first season and just start from season 2? I would say measure it on your friends. If they like a bit of whimsy, and the thing is, those first 12 or so episodes, it very much sets the scene for our mentality going into it. I think it's important to listen to.
It's nothing we're doing is important.
It's important to listen to that because it does set the scene for how we decided to play the game and the way we went about it. So I think if you want to understand the mentality of how we went into it, it's important. And it's a bit of whimsy and wackadoodle fun, but...
Maybe some people go back to it once they're fine with us.
Yeah, once you know that you're okay with us as people, then you can listen to... If you like Common Ground, listen to those ones. If you don't, then it's probably best to just start from episode 13. But you go on. I'm glad I stuck around, though, as it was around then that you started talking more about the game and actually playing it. And since then, I feel like you've really hit your stride and found a great balance between discussing the game, having historical context, and still having plenty of fun and silly banter. I'm in for the long haul now, and I look forward to spending the next 10 plus years listening. Now I'm caught up, I have a few questions for you. Number 1. While playing the scenario, do you suppose you might play a bit loose with some of the rules for the sake of getting a better understanding of game mechanics? To give one example, if you get to turn 6 and haven't had a sandstorm yet, you might opt to forgo the weather roll and simply declare that a sandstorm occurs so you can both see how that affects the game.
I don't think we'd do that. I think in that case, that specific example, it would be a nice... the sandstorm is a surprise.
Yes.
That we're going to encounter. We have been a bit loose with the rules, I think, in terms of, like, we're not doing the equivalent of you've put your hand on the piece in chess, you have to move it.
Yes.
We've had, like, it's still your movement phase, but this guy didn't end within 2 of someone else. You just didn't think to move. Like, we've been a little bit looser on that stuff.
Well, we had that today. I declared all my movement. We'd resolved one of the combats, and then I realised I hadn't moved the black shirts from the ones who came from Tripoli, the second and third. I hadn't moved them, and we looked over that, and I went, well, can I move them? You were fine with that. So I moved them further along the map B. So in the actual game, that would be closed off by that sequence of movement.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, once you've moved all of your guys, once you've declared that movement, once a combat is resolved, you wouldn't then be able to move someone. So in that sense, we've been more forgiving with omissions and mistakes.
And I think we've also been a bit looser from the information side, like, you've shared when your guys are hungry.
Yes.
We've discussed, like...
We've been much more candid about like, our forces.
I'm going to barrage you here, but it is a big ammo investment. Like, letting the other person know that kind of stuff as we go.
I've just talked at length there about how I'm planning to drop guys in from my black shirts next to Alexandria. Come the main game, I will not be so candid with that because it will completely fuck my strategy.
Yeah.
But part of that is the understanding of how the structure works. So I think what the question is...
also so we can both look at the rules on moves we're making as part of why we're being... So it's not like one person being like, I want to do this, I'm going to look at the rules, but I don't want to ask the other person the rules.
Yes.
To give away my strategy.
Yes. It's more about getting an understanding of the game, and the question seems to be around, would we fudge the rules so that we get a chance to experience everything? And in that regard, I think, on my side anyway, I think the consensus is no.
No, I don't think we fudge the rules.
I don't think we have any plans to fudge the rules to experience every facet of the game.
I think if you'd asked in turn 1, I might have been like, yeah, we might do that. But I think now part of it is the scenario has been a big... It's been a year.
Yeah.
At a certain point, it's like, this year, I'd like it to like have a feeling that it mattered.
Yeah.
Beyond just us understanding the rules. Like,
I'm invested now.
When we started, I didn't care who won the scenario.
Yeah, me too. It was
now
like a
I
fun...
have a sense, like,
I want to win this.
would like to win the scenario to what is, yeah, you spend a year on something, it's like you'd like the result to matter and be favourable to you. And also it's like, I do feel like there will be a sense of momentum.
Yes.
Like, whichever one of us does win the scenario, I feel like we'll have a bit of a a bit of aura, a bit of momentum going into the main game, and I want that.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's early on, yes, I think we would have been more open to it. Now that we've got so far in and it feels like we've invested the time, the effort, I think fudging it to understand the rules more is... I think the opportunity we have to explore the rules is going to be as realistic as it will be in the full game, because not everything is going to come up very frequently in the full game. There might be parts of the game we don't employ more than once in the full game itself.
That's very possible, actually, yeah. There's also stuff that in this scenario just hasn't come up. Like, for instance, the Commonwealth production has a 2-month lag.
Yes.
Which is 8 turns. This scenario is 6. So I haven't even thought about it. Haven't even really looked at it since we were doing the rules.
Yes.
We'll definitely look at it in that gap between the scenario and the main game. I don't think there's a point fudging to, like, do a sandstorm, for instance, if we're not fudging to do Commonwealth production, which we're not, because we don't understand the game well enough to do that fudge.
Yeah, that's it. If we fudge it, we don't understand the consequences of doing that.
Yeah.
So while it would be perfect, ideal, blue sky thinking that we could try out every single aspect of the game, that would be great. But I think realistically, if we were to start doing that during the scenario, especially if the example here being in turn 6, we decide we're going to employ a sandstorm just to test it out, I feel like it's so many variables laid on that it becomes a bit of a mess. And I think we'd become a little bit flustered. We'd have to almost do that every op stage with a different rule for it to not have a massive impact. But even then, it becomes every op stage is a sort of like funhouse whack job experience of what the game might be.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of risk to that. So I think for that reason, we're not going to. And the fact we want to see how the scenario plays out. But yes, it will come at a cost. We won't have an idea of everything. But
it's
certain
also a
parts
question
we'll have to just accept.
Considering off mic, yeah.
But we just have to swallow that to an extent. Yeah. But it's a really good question. It does raise some thought about what this scenario is actually going to provide us in terms of experience. Yeah. But you go on, similar to the previous question. How much would both of you say you're focused on winning the scenario as opposed to trying out a variety of different tactics to try and get a rough idea of what works and what doesn't going into the full game? Again, perfectly timed question.
Yeah,
one, because we've just answered that.
We've been answering it, but yes.
I think, we are now invested in winning the game. And when it comes to trying out new tactics, today is perfect for that. I've tried a new tactic. It paid dividends. Yes, I surrendered my group inadvertently, but I've opened up a door to new opportunities. So,
which is what the scenario is for, because you probably don't want to surrender a big block of guys in the main game, but you surrendering them here is probably worth it because of the options it's opened up in your head.
Yes, I don't want to go too wacky with my ideas, but I am confident that I can try some experimental things and I'm not going to lose 10 years doing it.
Because I was thinking about just not using the Commonwealth Navy at all in the scenario.
What was your thought process for that?
That it would be new to you.
Oh, so catch me off guard with it.
But then I was thinking about it and I was like, if I'm deploying it, I want to know how it works. That's probably more valuable than
catching me off guard.
Yeah, because you'll read the rules as well. I'm sure before I started using them to a certain extent, you had an awareness of them.
I knew there'd be a problem. Now I know what the scale of that problem is, but regardless, I knew it was an obstacle I'd have to face.
Yeah.
So it does give me a head start, and then I know what I'm looking at now, but it also gives you the head start of knowing how to employ that.
And how valuable they are, like what those deployable barrage points contribute.
Yeah, I think
more useful than having kept that.
Yeah, you've got a better situation now, I would say, by using that rather than just abstracting it completely. So another very good question, though, really positions us in a good position to... I don't know what I'm saying there. I'm just saying position a lot. I'm trying to get back to the point of the email I was at. You've mentioned that there's actually a decent amount of deception and subterfuge in the game. Would you ever consider adding a segment to the podcast where each of you has a moment alone to talk about moves or general ideas that you're planning, but don't want to reveal to the other? I imagine it would be tricky to implement, considering James presumably wouldn't be able to edit Andy's portion of the segment, but it would be fun to get a preview of what we might be able to expect in the coming turns and get a better look at your different approaches to the various situations you find yourselves in. Well, we talked about this not yesterday, last week in the Christmas festive episode, the War with a Mate Christmas extravaganza. What we do have in mind for that, because that is something we want to introduce, but it is going to be a delicate one to balance. We've looked at a bit of a side project. The idea next year is that alongside the game, we'll be doing these usual episodes just with a lot more in-depth explanation behind it. We'll be able to share some of the spreadsheets, the documentation in a format that makes sense and is reliable. But we'll also be looking at releasing a Patreon, which will have further in-depth analysis of the game, because part of that is finding the time to do so requires us being able to open up resource for ourselves. It's going to be a lot more time consuming than we thought going into it, so we want to be able to find a balance where we can afford to spend that time.
Also, the logistical thing of like, we don't want to be sending episodes back and forth where it's like, all right, you edit most of it and then send it to me and I'll put my bit in.
Yes.
Now you don't listen to 35 to 42 minutes and edit your bit. We don't want to clog the feed. It feels like that's probably the way to handle something like that, where it's bonus, but...
Yeah, so we're looking at putting that out as a sort of bonus perspective, which would be available so that people can, if they're that invested in what we're going to be doing behind the scenes, what our thought processes are, that will be something additional that people can tap into if they're so inclined. So that's how we would do that. That way it can be fairly brief each week, but look at a little segment where each of us can do that for the audience, where the other person doesn't get to have a glimpse at that. So it's definitely something we want to put out there. We're just working out the logistics. So come the full game, we do have a plan for that. And lastly, the listener email segment has the telegraph noise, and Common Ground has James's comically haphazard recorded introduction. When does the history segment get its own regular intro theme? Well,
it's a coming in 5 to 6 minutes, probably.
Yeah, listen out. It could be the case that the year ends with a bit of a reward, a bit of a treat. So keep those ears peeled, because it's a massive portion of the episodes, and Andy puts in the work. I think it's only fair that there's some fanfare at the beginning. It is a very haphazard one for Common Ground. I remember I recorded that. We always do a mic test before we record, and I just started recording it here in front of Andy. And what you can hear in the Common Ground intro is me sat here recording it, and Andy asking me what I'm doing, and me telling him that I'm recording the Common Ground intro. That's where that came from. But the history one requires something, I think, a bit more tailored. Anyway, really enjoying the podcast, and I wish you both the best of luck with the Herculean task you've taken on, subtly, humbly, and bravely. Tom. P.S. A while back, James mentioned that he wanted there to be an Avengers Infinity War / Endgame event for the subjects of the history segments that brought them all together. And I felt the need to point out that there actually was a historical event that fits this criteria. I believe it was called World War II. Well, Tom, you're not wrong. I think I made that comment when you were talking about when you dropped a post-credit scene about Rommel.
Yeah.
And what I did say, I don't know if it's maybe been conflated with that, was Common Ground should definitely have a shared Common Ground universe where it all happens in the same universe. Everything is all happening simultaneously.
The Common Ground-averse, yeah.
Yeah, it would be a horrible nightmare. I don't think that one.
Society we engineer between us.
If you're listening, Disney, take us up on that, please. We could really do with that budget. But
thank you very much for emailing, Tom. A lot of questions that very well timed, so thank you for that.
Yeah, I swear to God, we don't plan the gameplay around the questions that are coming in. It works perfectly sometimes, that some of them are just so perfectly suited. But your questions were great there, Tom. Very insightful ones. And for anyone who does want to send in any questions about the game, any comments about what we're doing, or anything at all, really, we vowed to read it all out. You can reach us at info@warwithamate.co.uk. Our website, warwithamate.co.uk, has a web form, and our Instagram is just warwithamate. So anything you want to add to the conversation, or if you just want to follow what we post each week on the Instagram, we always put a weekly post up, and every now and then we'll pop some fun feed questionnaires and whatnot. Just little bits and pieces, drips and drabs. That's probably where we'll update any side projects as well as we go along.
That's our sort of most moment by moment one.
Yes, that's our most social media presence that we have. It's
the only social media presence we have.
We do have a Facebook page, but I've never updated it.
We do also have a War of Mate on YouTube. It's mainly just the weekly episodes, but we did put a video up of us unboxing the game for the first time with us two and our Jurassic Park friend.
Yes.
Just us opening it and reacting to it way before we knew how much we were getting ourselves into. So
yeah, that was the day the game arrived on our doorstep. It's us opening it up and looking through the rule books, the tiles, realizing what we were getting ourselves into. It's a fun look back at the salad days, back before we knew exactly how deep in we were getting. So if you want to have a look at that, that's on the YouTube as well. It's just War with a Mate. That's the YouTube channel. Easy to find. But that is listener mail, I believe. We've really extended this one, so we'll not do a second mail just yet, but we've got plenty in there. We will get to all of them, we promise. And thank you to everyone who sent stuff in. It's always insightful stuff. It's always thought-provoking, or at least a wacky anecdote, and we love both.
And speaking of the new history segment intro, here it is. The men of the long-range desert patrols were quite a sight on their return to Cairo from a month's trip to Libya. The contrast between the east and west of the Nile is very marked. In the east, the country... At this point, I gave little thought to my future, but had always been interested in boats in the sea. I am more or less in the position of a captain in command of a ship, which is on the point of sinking because errors are present.
We are absolutely not qualified to share views on history. Look at that. A history segment intro. Fit for a king. And with the history segment intro, of course, comes the history segment, Andy.
Yeah. 7th Armoured Division, Part 7.
The 7th history segment for the 7th. Is this the conclusion? Or is this just perfectly numbered?
No, I didn't time it that well.
Cool. This is pointless then.
Thanks, man. As always, this is going to... Well, not always, but for most of the 7th Armoured Division series, we're starting with a Churchill quote. Because boy, did he love these guys.
This guy had a real hard-on for them.
Let me assure you, soldiers and airmen, that your fellow countrymen regard your joint work with admiration and gratitude. That after the war, when a man is asked what he did, it will be quite sufficient for him to say, I marched and fought with the Desert Army. And when history is written and all the facts are known, our feats will gleam and glow and will be the source of song and story long after we who have gathered here have passed away.
Wow, these soliloquies become more and more powerful every time he talks about them.
He's a damn good speaker.
Yeah, he really was known for that.
Yeah. So the 7th are back in England. They've come back from Italy. They're living in the area around Mumford...
and Sons,
Thetford Forest and Swaffham, areas around Norfolk, and it's not great. Even though they're back in England, the huts they're living in aren't weatherproofed.
Huts,
so, yes, they're living in huts. They're not weatherproofed, and it's January in England in a particularly bad winter, so it's not weatherproofed. It's
That's horrible.
Cold and freezing. Yeah, especially after the comparison to North Africa. It's far ends of the...
That must be a shock to the system.
Oh, yeah. The homecoming for the Norfolk Yeomanry, an infantry division as part of the 7th, They'd been away for 3 years, although it was twinged. It wasn't a triumphant homecoming fully because a large amount of those who had left originally had been killed or captured, and many of the Norfolk yeomanry at this point aren't from Norfolk. They're just being filled in by whoever they can in North Africa and Italy. So at this point, the 11th Hussars technically become detached from the 7th, although they're going to spend most of their time with them and then reattach. But Montgomery had this idea that he would separate the armoured card units out into being part of the headquarters, but didn't have a huge effect. But they do get new tanks at this point.
Snazzy.
In fact, they're the only division to get exclusively Cromwell tanks, and not what most armoured divisions got, which was a mixture of Cromwells and Shermans.
Okay.
The Cromwell is very reliable for a tank. Noticeably, it has the advantage over the Sherman of not bursting into flames easily, which the Sherman has a reputation for doing, to the point where the Allies nicknamed the Sherman the Ronson, which is a reference to the slogan of Ronson Lighters, which is lights every time.
What a horrible way for a tank to be described.
Oh, yeah.
That reminds me of the Roald Dahl quote that you dropped about was it the gladiators? Or the hurricanes?
There's never been an object more purposely built to catch fire. The reputation, it doesn't just for the Allies. The Germans call Shermans Tommy Cookers.
Oh dear.
So, as well as not bursting into flames easily, the Cromwell's also equipped with a 75mm or 6-pound gun, and is also fast for a tank. After they take the limiters out, it can reach 50 miles per hour.
Bloody hell.
They also get new artillery. In fact, King George inspects the artillery units of the 7th at Sandringham, so they get like a royal inspection. They get Sexton self-propelled guns for the 5th Royal Horse Artillery, 25-pounders for the 3rd, and Bofors for the 25th LAA, as well as they're also getting new anti-tank guns. The infantry get new armoured trucks that can protect them from light weapon fire. In general, just upgrades across the unit. Everyone gets new equipment, except the 11th Hussars, who receive Staghound armoured cars, which are American, so they do well in the desert, but are too wide for narrow European roads, a tradition that is carried on now to American car making. So they set sail for Normandy on the 5th of June, 1944. One of the first units to arrive is on the 6th of June in the evening. The 6th is D-Day. But they don't take part in the sort of Private Ryan, Saving Private Ryan beach.
Yes, I would imagine that wouldn't be a very easy environment for them to navigate.
No, the beaches sort of get cleared and then they come in. So, yeah, they're arriving on a Gold Beach, is the code name for it, but it's around the city of Cannes, which is famous for film festival fame, of course.
Of course.
Incidentally, the Cannes Film Festival will be founded 2 years after this.
Oh,
in
wow,
1946.
Really? Did not know it was that old.
Yeah. The terrain where they are is not good. They've gone from the sort of rolling dunes, which are well suited to tanks, despite the maintenance things, to just a maze of fields with high banks, narrow lanes, dense woodlands, valleys. Visibility's typically limited to 50 yards.
Just massive choke points for vision and transport.
It's just choke point, yeah. Give a sense of how bad this is. At one point, a British tank commander fights German infantry off the roof of his tank in hand-to-hand combat because they jumped from the banks next to the road onto the top of the tank. That's like how tightly quartered this is.
That's horrible.
Oh, yeah. So they take part in the Battle of Cannes, which goes from D-Day, the 6th of June, to the 6th of August. It takes them a while here. They're taking part in various operations here. And around this time, questions start to be raised about the division's capabilities, largely for some issues on the 12th to the 13th of June in a village called Villers-Bocage, where they don't perform particularly well. So in early August, Major George Erskine, who had commanded the division since January, and also the brigadier commander William Hind, who's in charge of the 22nd Armored Brigade, who are like the armored fist in the armored division. Like, if that makes sense, they're like
yes,
the tanks they're the best tanks they've got.
Yes, the sort of the fist in amongst it.
Yeah, they get relieved of duty, as well as 100 other officers in the division are removed from their positions and reassigned. Erskine's replaced by Major General Gerald Lloyd Vernier. Most of the divisions going into the Normandy landings are fresh from training and eager. But the 7th have been at war continuously for 3 years. It's like a different mindset they've got here. And they've developed an old soldier's caution, which personally I think is fair. Because anyone left at here has gone through the campaign in North Africa, in Italy. What you have left here are the cautious and the lucky to a certain extent.
I like that a lot. The cautious and the lucky is a very good way to describe it.
Lloyd Verney even described it as, there is no doubt that familiarity with war does not make one more courageous. One becomes cunning, and from cunning to cowardice is but a short step. So
some great quotes in this one.
Oh, yeah. They even get described as D-Day dodgers. I've seen reference to, which I don't. They took part. They took part.
Yeah, that's an odd turn of phrase to be thrown around at them.
But the division is at a low point here. There's discipline issues. There's guys who've been at war for a long, long time. There's just general questions being raised. Despite this, they're fighting hard. Just to give you an example of it, the 1/6 Queens and infantry, which was made up of 4 companies. At this time, during the Battle of Caen, they get to a point where those 4 companies have respectively 8, 15, 40, and 55 men remaining in them across all ranks. So that's 118 men remaining from the original 450.
Wow, so that number's dwindled massively. That's a third.
Yeah, and one of them, companies normally like 100 to 200. I think theirs were sitting around like 150-ish. One of them's down to 8 men.
Fucking hell. What kind of attrition is that from? Is that losses or...
Losses, captures. The fighting around here is sort of skipping over it a bit, but it's very fierce. In fact, the 7th, when they land, clash with an old foe of theirs. Rommel is in charge of the area they land in.
Oh, so there's a real grudge match.
Yeah, they're fighting the 15th Panzer again, who they fought in North Africa.
Oh, Christ, I wonder how many instances there are of people who've actually fought each other in North Africa are actually there within a few yards of each other battling again.
Probably quite a lot, yeah.
That's insane. Coming across an actual old foe across a completely different continent.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but after the Battle of Caen, they do get their mojo back a bit. They start fighting up towards the Seine, which is River Seine, which is 75 miles away. At this point, the terrain also opens up. It goes from this like maze of tightly packed farms and valleys to more rolling hills, which are much better suited for tanks, and interrupted by rivers, but not deep enough to cause major problems. So they're heading towards the Seine through the Champagne region. The Germans take huge losses at something called the Falsade Pocket. It's where the Germans in France basically collapse. The 7th aren't directly involved in this, but what this leads to is the Germans sort of retreating at pace out of France. This is the liberation of France. So they're rolling through France now. They're back on form. They're fighting small engagements with Germans, taking prisoners, not having a lot of issues, being greeted by like grateful French locals. They're in an upswing here. So on the 25th of August, the Free French liberate Paris from German control. France is basically back in Allied hands. And at this point, they have something referred to as the Great Swan, where...
It's only a Great Swan, by the way, if it's from the Champagne region of France. Otherwise, it's just a big sparkling bird.
Yeah, if this had been anywhere else, big, big sparkling bird. But it's called the Great Swan because they cover hundreds of kilometers in a matter of days without any conflict. So basically, this is them traveling fairly fast for a handful of days, and that is referred to as the Great Swan, as in, like, you know, swanning around, like, easy. They're still traveling hundreds of kilometers in a matter of days. But relative to what they're doing, this is the Great Swan.
That's insane. These are the Operation Compass guys. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So they're back in fighting shape. They've had the commanders replaced at this point. There's been some reorganization. And importantly, they've sent a bunch of veterans who have been part of the division for 5 years at this point. They get sent back to England, which might seem like counterintuitive because they're losing their veteran corps. But they've been training the rest of them. And these guys are the, like, bitter, cynical, like, I'm not going down that lane because an anti-tank gun will be waiting around the corner guys.
Right,
They've almost got the guys who are too war-weary. They've given their expertise and now they're out of there.
Yes, they don't want to get killed in this particular situation.
Yeah, and the division needs to not have that. They're going to need them to, like, drive forward.
You need to have the risk takers in there, not the people who are going to be overly cautious because of what they've seen already.
And those guys, they've earned a break.
I mean, fucking yes, they have.
So we've got 7 months of bitter fighting left to do through Europe, but we'll get to that next time, and we'll leave the 7th on the border of Holland and Belgium, ready to start driving further towards Berlin, ultimately. But yeah, as I said, we'll get to that next time.
Wow.
Just a brief glimpse of the sort of 7th after Normandy and in France.
On the cusp of Berlin as well.
Yeah.
Very much heading towards the conclusion of not just their journey, but the war itself.
Yeah, and it is a remarkable journey they've gone. I can see why Churchill's really into them. And like what I've flown through here, they fight 4 or 5 operations in the Battle of Caen. They fight a bunch of other stuff. I've just sort of, again, you could write entire books, which people have about the 7th, so we're going to have to
you've read one.
Fly over some of it, yeah.
Well, that's it. When it comes to Operation Compass, that was, 2 months?
That was a month. That was 6th of January to the 6th of February.
Oh, yes. So in that operation alone, that's already twice the amount of time that Operation Compass was. And I can only imagine with the fighting you've described, parts of it are probably much more dense in France than Operation Compass was.
Day-to-day fighting in France,
and the losses from what you've described are also much heavier.
They're really suffering. You sort of lose the desert attrition on tanks.
Yes.
But it's not. Europe sort of alternates between the worst place to be in a tank and like nice rolling ground sort of suited for tank combat.
Well, yeah, the environment's probably suited for tank combat, but the nature of that means when the tank combat comes around, that the tanks on both sides are in a position to fight each other.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry as much about the environment. You're in a sort of white box scenario where you can just have that battle and it's going to be a decisive one.
Yeah.
Rather than worrying about how you're going to get to the fight. It's just a case of you're in the fight, how is that fight going to turn out?
But I'm picturing like 50 yards is like 100 meters, right?
I think so, yeah.
More, but that visibility, like you've been in like rural England, right, where it's
like, plenty, yeah.
And it's like you just can't see anything. The lanes, it's just any corner you turn around, any hedge could have a anti-tank gun or a panzer brigade behind it. It just must be hell on your nerves.
Yeah, anywhere you go, you could be walking into a life or death situation, and the warning you have for that is going to be seconds.
It's going to be your tank exploding.
Yeah. Lights every time.
Yeah.
It's scary that you think of these people who went from the desert to an environment that's so close to our own, just an environment that we're used to, an environment we kind of live in.
Yeah.
And that becomes a more dangerous environment in warfare. because you don't have the environmental risks, you just have the war.
Yeah, and the environmental risks aren't the hedge and the like bleak rain aren't going to kill you, but they are hiding the thing that is going to kill you.
Yes, and that thing that's going to kill you is almost definitely going to, unless you kill it first.
Oh yeah,
It's a case of you take them out first, or you get taken out.
yeah. So that urban fighting seems like a real nightmare.
I would not want to be in urban warfare. I wouldn't want to be in any warfare, but I think urban warfare is particularly scary. I've come to find a sort of calm solace in desert warfare through playing this game in the history segments. It's sort of what it does though. It's really disarming because it strips back the horrors of what it actually is. Hearing about these people who coped so well in North Africa, it sets me up poorly, and it becomes that sort of my toxic trait is thinking that I could fight in a desert campaign.
Oh my god, no. But then again, I don't. It's like I don't want to say it, but like all these guys were like shopkeepers.
Yeah, they were
Like,
just people. They were just
just
everyday guys at some point.
Yeah,
For the most part, anyway.
and we'll get into it when we start looking at some of the like Victoria Crosses and Distinguished Service Medals of like individual guys doing stuff, where it's like it almost feels like they're a different species.
Yeah,
But they're people from our country 80 years. It's not even geographically or really in the relative in time that distant.
Yeah, they just rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
They're great grandparents.
Yeah.
They are, some of them depend, well, not maybe grandparents. I think that might be a bit too close, but yeah, great grandparents. You're looking at a few generations away. People
Well,
that we've met.
who were born in the not old enough to take part, but who lived through the war as like children.
Yeah, I mean, my great granddad who died a few years ago was in the North African campaign, and I've been looking into that recently actually because, from what I understand, he was possibly involved in one of the units that we've talked about a fair bit. I'm trying to figure out the actual history behind it.
Give me a bit of, if you can get the unit, I'll look into it.
Oh yeah, I've been trying to. The thing is, what I have found out is that he lied about his age to serve.
Oh, okay.
So he was, I think, 16 and lied about his age to actually serve. And I think my understanding is he went under his dad's name to serve.
Oh.
So I think
the recruiters are looking at it and like, you're 45, you haven't, you've got like a bum flush mustache, but it's like, we need people, come on in.
Yeah. So, because he didn't talk about it much, and with him dead now, can't really get much info. But I've been looking on all these ancestry websites and military record websites to try and find information, but I don't really know which unit it was. But all I've got is some context from other family members. So, trying to find that out as well. That'll be interesting.
I need to look up mine as well, because I know it's either my great-grandfather or my great-great-grandfather was in India.
Okay, so yeah, not too far from the conflict as well.
Yeah, because my grandma has one of those Gurkha knives that got given to him. Not Gurkha knives, kuris?
Oh, and yes,
the ones that are a bit like a boomerang or an L shape.
Yes, I know exactly the ones you mean.
Yeah, we were joking about it because there's the rules about if you're descended from certain actors, you get. But we should do a sort of a who do you think you are.
Yeah, because
tracing it back.
What's interesting is that these, we've got relatives who are potentially connected I know for a fact my great-granddad was definitely in the North African campaign. I just don't know what group he was part of, what unit. But it's interesting that after all that, I've now began playing this game. I've now made this a big part of my life. And when it's resolved, I'll probably have spent more time looking into this game, playing this game, than he would have spent in North Africa during that conflict. Which goes to show that, yes, it's just a few generations away and geographically not any distance at all, but I'm making a silly decision. He made a brave, noble sacrifice in risking his life out there. I'm just tagging along with a game that's far too long to play. And, I'm also putting our friendship on the line, Andy.
Yeah, this was all these ideas you're having in your eye-opening moments are making me disinclined to like you, because it means there's malice coming my way.
You feel scared?
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel scared?
A little. I'm worried it's going to end. If I don't get through the scenario, if I lose in the scenario, I'm going to feel bad.
I think the best case is that we draw in a scenario. That means neither of us has to feel particularly bad.
I'm fine losing on the scorecard. It's if it doesn't
get to the scorecard.
Yeah. It's like, did you ever have at school? I didn't play many sports at school, but like people who did, where like a game got to a certain point and they were like, we're calling this off.
Oh, yes.
Like the team would be up 7-0 in a football game and they'd be like, do we have to do the second half?
Yeah, at this point you've put all the sporting people on one team and then you've put the rest of us on the other team. I would always be the rest of us.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how it ends. And it feels like an exercise in cruelty. And that's what this can't be, Andy. Which is why every single week we need to do this. We need to find some common ground. And now for something nicer. A little oasis in the war. It's time for some common ground. I'm trying the intro for common ground. I'm recording it. Maybe.
Yeah. What you got?
So this week, it's my common ground. And common ground is the section in which we come together as friends again to pick a topic to discuss where we can agree on something. And I've brought something today that I hope we can unite on. My common ground is that I think the money launderers got it right.
Money launderers got it right?
That's right. The money launderers did get it right.
Which money... It's a sort of brave... Are you just against paying taxes and in favour of doing crimes?
I'm not, no. I see, this comes from a conversation I've had over the Christmas period. Because
with an aggrieved money launderer who society doesn't understand.
In a sense.
Oh.
Well, it's more someone who educated me about an aspect of what they described as fashion and what I described as money laundering.
Oh, okay.
But the more I got into the conversation, the more I realised that there is a merit to this. It's just not the thing they were arguing for. It's the thing that I read between the lines and understood, because I'm a genius.
Okay, hit me with it.
So, have you heard of the Birkin bag?
Birkin bag? The name rings a bell, but I couldn't, point to one, if you know what I mean. It's, in my consciousness, yes.
So, I don't even know if this was something I heard of beforehand or if I'm aware of it now. But Birkin is a bag that is part of the Hermes brand. So,
yeah.
It's a very expensive type of bag. There's a whole range of them. And they all cost in the rough region of sort of 35 grand a pop for a bag. And that expression that you're showing me now is the same expression I had when I found out about it.
What does the bag... If unless it's a bag of holding from D&D, it's not worth 30 grand.
Now, see, this is it. Because I found out about this. I was talking to someone about Christmas gifts, and I was trying to get an idea of what it is that makes these prestige items worth what they are. And I was asking, what does this bag do? What makes it different from a bag you would buy at Primark or Next?
It comes with 29.5 grand in it.
Well, I was like, yeah, it's got to be, the craftsmanship must be really good. And I've got no doubt it is. But the difference in craftsmanship from one thing to another, it's one thing when it's a watch, it's one thing when it's clothes, when it's a bag. It's all different measurements of craftsmanship. But what I found out about this Birkin bag, it's named after an actress.
Okay.
And she would carry the bag around sort of just full to the brim, just lugging it around like this, not by the strap, but just
Oh, it's one of the big shoulder type bags, not like a clutch or a little...
Well, it is sort of the brand. It's got a variation of it where you can get the sort of smaller ones and the bigger ones. But the actress who the bag was then designed on the back of, it was carried around by her as almost like a sort of I carry my life in this bag sort of situation. But The bag now, interestingly enough, you can't just buy them. You can't go into one of these shops and buy the bag. You need to build a reputation within your sort of local store with a sales rep.
Because this is something, like, probably never going to be involved in, because I'm never going to have both the inclination and certainly not the disposable cash. But it's like, if you want a, like, high-end Ferrari, my understanding is you have to buy, like, 5 lower down ones, or if you want to get, like, specific Rolexes, you have to buy a bunch of Rolexes you don't want. Is it like that, where it's like, to get this bag, you have to spend, like, 10 times its value on shit you don't want?
Yes, you need to buy all the stuff beforehand and build a relationship with, like, a sales rep or something and be on almost like a referral list. And then eventually when one of these bags becomes available in your area, they'll be like, oh, hi, Andy. I hear you're a valued customer, and we've got one of these bags in. We'd like you to be put on the list to potentially buy it.
Oh, thank you so much, sir.
And I think this is the same thing as art, where it's money laundering. It's a way for money to just be lost in translation, where you've attached value that is only attached by the person who's selling it. It's you've given something value by your own decision.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call it money laundering, but it's like it feels shady as hell.
Yeah, money laundering is definitely a facetious way to look at it.
A lot of modern art is money laundering in a lot of ways.
Yes,
but this feels like it's like buying raffle tickets, but there's no prize. You just get to be in the next raffle.
Yes,
like it's just steps of nothing. Like, how many people have spent? The bags are 30 grand, so I'm going to say, how many people have spent 200 grand trying to get the bag for stuff they don't want?
Exactly.
Like, in a way, each bag ends up costing, like, several million, because multiple people have spent way too much just trying to get access to it.
Exactly. And I think that the money laundering thing, it is sort of, a cynical way to look at it. It's not money laundering, but it is attached to the same value that art is, where it's all abstract, it's all in the eye of the purchaser, given a value that the one selling it wants it to have.
I'll give you a fix to this in the common ground in my head.
Well, to get to the crux of it,
okay.
When I said they've got it right, there is part of this that I like.
Okay, what's that?
And it pulls into something nostalgic for me. The one thing that I translated that to is I was thinking about pay-to-win games. I was thinking about... Did you used to play Call of Duty, like online?
Loved the Modern Warfare 1 and 2. Played them every night after school for hours.
Me too. That is what it evoked in me. Because I was thinking, what I liked about that was that you didn't go into that game and you couldn't just buy the best skins for your weapons.
So you had to earn them.
You had to earn them.
You had to get Juggernaut, Noob Tube, and the other one, so everyone would yell at you.
Yes, you had to grind and do something you didn't want to do to then earn a mark of prestige by earning a skin for your gun. You had to get so many headshots, you had to get so many accomplishments with weapons, and then you earn this thing. And what this does, this situation with these bags, it brings that back into the forefront of culture, because it means that you can no longer just buy your way into something. And I think this is something that needs to be applied more broadly. You shouldn't be able to just flash your wealth and get something exclusively. You need to commit more. You need to really show that you're into something.
So if you want one of these bags, for example, I'm going to run with this. Let me tell you if this is what you're thinking. Say you want one of these bags, you all go to the shop on the day it's released, and then you do a thing where you try and put as much in the bag as possible without it looking ugly or like bumpy, and whoever can fit the most in the bag gets the right to buy it. You're doing challenges to buy it instead of just weird consumerism.
Yes, that is how this should work. It should be about your investment in the product.
Because then also that would help those people who buy those status symbols items, because it's like, he's got the new like underwater Rolex Submariner, which is good to 50 feet. That means he went to the Rolex store, dived into a big pool with a bunch of guys, and was the first one to get to the bottom, so he got the... And then it is like a status symbol. It's like, that guy can free dive faster than a bunch of other millionaires.
Exactly. It's the Vidmaster achievements for Halo 3.
Flaming head.
I got recon armor, Andy. I got all the achievements, the Vidmaster achievements in Halo 3 and Halo 3 ODST, and I got recon armor. And then you know what they did in the next few games?
They just let you buy.
You just fucking buy them. That's not okay. I bled for that armor. And these people in the next few games can just buy it. No. They need to earn it. And this, you hit the nail on the head there. You want to go into the shop and you want to get the bag. You need to cram stuff in and show that it's still fashionable. You need to wear the Rolex. You need to dive down to the bottom of a pool with no gear whatsoever. You need to go down to the bottom. You need to be able to tell the time, and you need to go back up to the top.
The thing I do with that, because one of the selling points on watches is it's good to this depth. And filling the bag is like, you want the thing to be related
to that particular challenge.
The Ferrari example I use, I think it's a lot of other supercars as well, where you have to buy them. Instead of that, it's like, we're going to release 10 of them. Go to Silverstone racetrack, like Le Mans, wherever. I'm not an F1 fan. But if you want one of these 10 exclusive Ferrari, you go to a Ferrari track day, and whoever's the fastest...
Then you drive the car.
Buy the car.
If you manage to pull off that race and you win, then you get the car.
So it's not money laundering. It's making status symbols actual status symbols of capability, not just like you had rich parents or whatever. It's like,
yes,
if you see someone with that thing, it's like, oh fuck, they actually earned. They paid a shitload of money. They can still charge a lot. But they did earn it.
Yes, they're on the cusp of the right idea. At the moment, they're still applying wealth to it because you have to buy all these other things beforehand to gain this brand loyalty. And they're nearly there, but you need to remove the wealth aspect of that. If you want to have it so that you have a barrier before you can buy it.
Like, you know the Ferrari thing with the track day, I meant?
Yes.
You have to show up in a Ferrari, maybe. But you don't have to buy 5 Ferraris to get the one of the limited run.
Yes.
So you still have a bit of a gap.
Or even if
you can reward your customers, but also you're going to use that thing you just got.
Yes, and it can still be an expensive bag. I mean, fuck it, still have it be 35 grand. But all of these people who've shown up with 35 grand in their pocket ready to buy it, they need to show they're the person who deserves to be sold it.
And not just by buying more of them.
Yeah, you can't just buy a ton of stuff beforehand and then hope that you're the most loyal one because you bought the most stuff.
And then also, this is another thing, because there's something that really pisses me off. Poverty porn television.
Yes, I know the kind of stuff you mean.
Yeah. You have the influx, you broadcast these things. So it's like people debasing themselves to buy in a very expensive bag.
And then they don't get it.
Yes, you get the inverse of television isn't just seeing poor people struggle. You also get to see rich people whose lives are easier, but you do get to see them make absolute fools of themselves trying to get a bag or a watch.
Yeah, this isn't the working class person on shows like Can't Pay, Take It Away.
That was the one I was thinking of. That show really sits bad with me.
Where you've got people who are being evicted from their homes because they're in debt, and sometimes the debt may be self-inflicted, but sometimes it's a landlord who's become, a little bit overzealous in moving something to the high court when it necessarily didn't have to be.
Or it's they're poor because they're had to quit work because they're looking after someone, and
it's just all sorts of reasons. It's people who are already at the bottom of the ladder. They're working class, so they're already working for a living. But instead, flip that on its head. You've got these people who are already mega rich, and then you watch them try to get this thing that they want. And if they fail to be the winner, then they are by default the loser.
And you do another version of this. I'm going to add to this. I'm enjoying this common ground. You know, for like a one-of-one type watch or something,
Yes.
you make the rich person, like, who's like the heir to a fortune or something, who might want like a Supreme hoodie made out of gold. You'd make them like poach an egg or like hoover this house. Like, you make them do the tasks their wealth has removed them from
Yes.
to get this weird status symbol thing. And we all get to watch them be like, which end of the hoovered? Like,
Yeah, these people who are divorced from reality.
yeah, let's give them a bit of reality. We get to enjoy them failing to interact with it, and then they get to enjoy their like supercar designer bag.
They have to go through a challenge to prove that they are worthy of this item. And I think that's what this is. We need to bring back the earning side of something. You can't just buy your way in. You have to earn it.
If you want a one-of-one, like Richard Milley or whatever he's called, watch, you have to win Takeshi's Castle.
Now that would be great. I would watch that so fucking hard. Because that was a program that did not hold back on its wild
That
challenges.
is one of the all-time great programs ever.
Because no one won that. I mean, yeah, people did win,
Like
but
8 people over like 40 seasons or whatever the fuck it was. Like,
yeah, no one would often win that.
no,
So-
they just get slammed into the mud by like a fist.
So that is what we need to bring back. We need to
Yeah.
bring back the Takeshi's Castle model
Yeah.
for people to get these exclusive items.
No buying access. You do challenges for access. The more expensive the thing you're getting access for, the more debasing the challenge.
Yes, we're going to
I'm
bring
big fan of that.
we're going to bring back earning. It's not
Yeah.
it's not pay to win. It's play to win.
Yeah, if you want to be a showy rich guy, not just a rich guy who like has a nice, comfortable house and like goes on a couple of holidays. If you want to flex on people, you're gonna earn that right, likely in embarrassing circumstances.
And then you can really flex
Yeah.
because you are the winner.
Yes.
And that's what we're going to be, Andy. When it comes to this game, we'll be the winners.
Yeah.
And at the end of this, one of us will win, one of us will lose, but we both took part. We didn't pay our way to the end. We played our way to the end.
And when we finish, we'll both buy Rolexes on credit cards to memorize it.
Damn right. Because we can pay to win.
But not quite.
And I can't think of any other better way to end this, Andy, than with that sentiment, that we will play to win.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot. That was a good common ground. You've really brought us together on that.
Well, I think that's it. I think we've made our way to the end of this.
I hope everyone enjoys a bumper episode to bring in the new year.
I think we've brought a lot of gameplay talk. We've waxed about the future of what we're taking on and the philosophical question of why and how we're doing it. And I hope everyone out there has a fantastic new year. If you want to get in touch with us, you know the way. It's info@warwithamate.co.uk or the website, warwithamate.co.uk, or just warwithamate if you're on the Instagram.
Stay subtle, humble, and brave.
In the deserts of your minds.
Thanks
Good
for
night
listening.
and Happy New Year!